Well, guys, last night we stayed up late and we watched all of the Game Awards, and we have some takeaways. We're going to be looking at, we're going to start with what we liked about the event, what was good, what was bad. We're going to talk about the winners, and then finally, we're going to talk about all the announcements. Or actually, we're going to do announcements, then winners.
Right.
I
Yeah, we
reversed it there.
decided we want to say it because we're not, spoiler alert, we're not going to talk about every single award because I have to get some sleep tonight. Uh,
Yeah.
so so yeah, we're going to save the award categories that were most important to us to the end, and yeah, start off with just some general. How do we feel about it? Good, bad, the ugly. Was it fun? What did you think about it, Campaw?
I thought this was the best Game Awards that I remember seeing. I don't know that there's been a better one. I thought that it was obviously long, but it was the first time I think that I've watched the Game Awards and I wasn't like, when is this going to end? Like, this is the first time I've made it to the end and be like, that was a pretty fun 3 hours or 3.5 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was. So we got on for the pre-show, and I
Hmm.
think we got off about 11:15. So that's seven. That's 7:30 to 11:15. So it was about it was closing in on 4 hours for us.
Yeah.
But I really agree with you. It didn't necessarily feel like that. It really wasn't until like 10:25 or 10:30 that I even really started thinking like, wow, it's kind of late. And
Hmm.
I even then I wasn't thinking like, please let this shit end. It was just kind of like it's been going on a while. But it was good. It really was good. And I agree. It's the best Game Awards I remember. It just felt different, man. Felt different.
It did feel different. I mean, now you could tell that Jeff is paying attention to the criticisms because
Mm-hmm.
one, you could obviously tell because there was the whole Muppets thing, which would just really made it super self-aware that like
Yeah.
obviously they know the issues that everyone says about the Game Awards, about how long it is, about, kind of
How it's just ads.
how it's just ads, right? And they kind of pointed out and made light of the situation, but it let us know as viewers that they notice and they're trying to take care of some of the more broad criticisms that usually get levied towards the Game Awards.
Yeah, and they oh crap, I had something very specific and it just completely left my brain. I feel like such a gampaw right now. Um uh Anyway, it'll probably come to me. I'll interrupt you in a minute, but I,
Yeah,
I
and
agree. It was extremely self-aware. And the Muppets were clearly, the vehicle, for that.
yeah, it absolutely was. And so not only that, I mean, like in terms of flow, it didn't feel like people were getting rushed off stage this year, which is what happened last year.
Yes. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. By the way, I promised I would interrupt you. You remember a couple years back, they got a lot of, or Jeff got a lot of crap for ignoring the layoffs in the gaming industry. And
Hmm.
last year he mentioned it.
No, no. He mentioned in Summer Game Fest. He
Oh,
didn't
okay.
mention it at Game Awards.
So it was last year's Game Award. Okay, you're right. I was lumping a year of Game Awards and Summer Game Fest into one. Or into two Game Awards. So it was Game Awards. He didn't mention it. Summer Games Fest. He acknowledged it, and this time he actually gave out an award recognition to somebody who's trying to address it.
Yes.
So that was such a big. That was a lot of flack he caught, online for that. So he's definitely listening.
Yeah, definitely. He's the award that he gave out, which is basically I think it was called the Game Changer Award, which was really cool. Basically to acknowledge someone who is making moves to try to improve the situation of all these layoffs.
Yep.
And that was really cool. And then also in that same vein, it seemed like a lot of the speeches that were given by other people, like winners, a lot of them were oriented around the idea of games need to be made to just be great games, especially here at the end. Like, the head of Larian came out to give out the award for Game of the Year, and his speech was very heartfelt
Yes.
and really spoke to the idea of games that win these categories need to be games that are made not to make money, but made because the creators want to make great games that people want to play.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really great. And it felt like that was kind of the theme of the Game Awards, just in general this year.
Yes. The theme was like it was like we hear you. That was
Yeah.
that was the theme. Larry, like you said on stream, Mr. Larian, was clearly, I mean, that felt very targeted to me towards companies like Ubisoft and EA. That's exactly what you said on the stream last night. And,
Yeah.
I love to criticize those guys. So I just felt very heard, when you hear somebody who made something like Baldur's Gate 3, go up on the Game Awards and speak on that for like 3 minutes. It was cool. It was good.
I also felt that there weren't as many ads. Like there were definitely still a couple sections, but I can only remember like maybe 3, 4 times where they kind of just gave us, some commercials.
Yeah.
But they weren't very long. Like it didn't last very long.
No, and honestly, they kind of felt appropriate to me because it's like we've been getting hit with like crazy, because we did get some pretty crazy premieres and such, and we'll talk about that later. And all these speeches that we've actually been enjoying this year, and some great memeable moments along the way. That it was kind of nice to have a moment to breathe and be like, "Oh, thank God, an Xbox commercial."
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
give
an
us
Xbox.
a second. Yeah. No, totally. I think that they just really did a much better job with the pacing. I still think it is too long. That's still
It
my
is.
number one gripe with it, is that it's too long. And there was definitely a section in like the sort of around that like 2/3, 3/4 mark where they were announcing games that were like, okay, this didn't have to be at the Game Awards for us to get this game announcement,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's going to happen. I don't watch a lot of award shows. Actually, I watch 1 or 2 a year, which is anything Jeff Keighley hosts, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're all too long. Honestly, they're all kind of bloated. And this one had so much meat on the bone that they could have trimmed just a little bit of fat, and that sumbitch would have been lean.
Well, it really did. There was a lot of great announcements. And that's what I was thinking is like, a lot of the games that were announced at that like 2/3, 3/4 mark where it kind of, we got the lull. A lot of those games, like I'm sure it helps them to be announced there.
Sure.
But because there were so many great announcements that were made, it kind of overshadows them. I would think would they have rather been announced somewhere else or some way else because they're not getting overshadowed by these big games?
Maybe. But I mean, then on the other hand, it's like, that everybody's eyes are on this, and that
Right.
you at least got seen, so
Yeah, true.
yes, was everybody still reeling from this announcement made by CD Projekt Red and maybe didn't give a damn? Yeah, maybe, but they saw you.
Yeah, true.
It's like a
Well, I
Super
mean,
Bowl ad.
Yeah. Well, this is a good time. We might as well go into it and talk about the announcements that were made.
Yeah.
And let's start with, you went ahead and said it. CD Projekt Red
Yeah.
announced The Witcher 4 Wild.
Man, yeah. That started the damn thing. It was like the first thing they did, and we were like, "Oh my God, Mr. Sparkly Shoes, what have you done?" That's Jeff, by the way. It looked so good. It looked really, really, really good. And now we know that Ciri is going to be the main protagonist. We did both immediately say she looks different.
Yeah.
Dan told us that she just got older, or somebody said that maybe in chat, was like she just aged a little, and maybe they're right. But
Yeah.
I don't give a damn. I'm totally in day one.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely looks different. I saw a lot of people online asking, are they using a different actress or are they
Yeah.
using a different face model? I think they definitely are. Like I saw some side by sides and it's not the same. I don't think it's like that she got older. I think they're using a different model. That being said, things can change. Someone brought up the fact that in The Witcher 3's reveal trailer, Geralt looks very different. And they showed what he looked like in the reveal trailer versus what he ended up in the game. And he looked very different in that reveal trailer. So there's still,
Yeah.
from what I understand, they just went into full production on The Witcher 4, not even a few months ago, max. Like, it's not been in full production very long at all.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe we'll get the Ciri that we know by the end, but I don't even really care if I'm being honest. I mean, she clearly went through some Witcher mutations. So, I don't know. Maybe that changed your jawline. I don't know.
Very well could. It's crazy, but it looked. Obviously, they gave us a CGI trailer, and we didn't get to see gameplay. But
Yeah.
what they showed in terms of portraying the vibe,
Oh, the
portraying
vibe
the
was
concept, yeah, portraying this concept that Ciri's going to be the new protagonist, which is something that we had kind of conjectured on in the past, kind of thinking
Yeah.
that was probably the direction they were going to go. And it's a direction that I'm happy with. I know a lot of people are going to be weird and say like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
they've gone woke. They put a
Yeah.
female as the main protagonist." Guys, it's Ciri. This
Yeah.
is like the whole like Joel.
That's where
Ellie
it was
thing all
always
over
going.
again. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where it was always going. And like we said, the vibe is still there. Like, I'm sorry, it don't matter. It doesn't matter like that. It's Ciri, and you should love Ciri, you assholes.
You played a Ciri in Witcher 3, just not the whole time.
I
You
know.
know, like
I know. I love that. Still nobody trusts the Witchers, and like now it's just Ciri taking that instead of Geralt. We did hear Geralt's voice at the end of the trailer. We already
Yep.
knew he was going to be there, but his voice was there.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I will watch everything that they let me about this for the next 11 years until we get it.
I think it's gonna be a number of years. I think that we will not get The Witcher 4 until 2027.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable, or pretty reasonable guess. But I don't need to see anything else. I'm gonna buy it no matter what. But I will watch everything.
Well, continuing on here, Elden Ring got announced. It's not DLC. It's not a sequel per se. It's sort of like a spin-off game called Nightreign.
Yeah.
And it's like a co-op, almost like boss rush. Like it's almost, I heard it described as almost being Elden Ring crossed with something like the idea of like Monster Hunter or something, where you're like kind of working together to take down bosses together.
Interesting.
Kind of being
Well,
like that idea.
All I know is get your flashlights and your umbrellas. But
You're confusing me, man. I don't know what you mean by that.
Night rain, buddy.
Night Rain. Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought it looked cool. I mean, I've always thought Elden Ring looks cool. It's a really good looking game. I don't know that one's going to be for me just because I never have got into them Souls games necessarily. But I don't know. You want to try it? You want to try Night Rain? You want to get your umbrellas and your flashlights? There's two of us.
The fact that it's a co-op game
Yeah.
does make it more appealing to me. That being said, when I played Elden Ring, it wasn't my jam, but I know that there are tons of people who are excited about this. And I wonder what like diehard Elden Ring fans who typically play by themselves,
Yeah.
I wonder what they think about a game being like oriented around co-op. It's an interesting idea.
They just want to see if they can beat it alone. That's what they think, Randy. Also, I noticed something to me in the trailer. It seemed like there was more mobility than I'm used to seeing.
I don't know. Was
in,
the
Elden
flying
Ring
thing? Is that
gameplay.
new?
Well, there was that, and there was that wall run that we saw. It just seemed like you had more mobility options, and I wonder. You mentioned Monster Hunter. I wonder if it's getting the Monster Hunter Rise treatment, where it's like there's going to be a little flashier, a little more mobile, a little faster paced. I don't know. Are they trying to shape up the way it feels in that way?
Yeah, I don't know. You might be right. It looked to me to be built using the same exact asset, same engine. Like, I think it's basically like using base Elden Ring as its sort of starting point. Like, I don't think it's going to be too crazy different. Sort of in the same vein that like Tears of the Kingdom is built off of the back of Breath of the Wild. I think this is probably even less than that.
Yeah, sure.
Probably just, using the exact same framework that was built and established already. But
That's
I
true.
don't know.
You could already be able to wall run, and I just don't know.
Yeah, and it could be that they've added little things like that. I just don't know because I haven't spent enough time playing Elden Ring, and it's not my jam. But I'm sure in our Discord channel we will hear plenty of talk about it once it comes out.
We definitely will. 100% will. Yeah. We'll be experts on this without ever touching the controller.
I know.
Brody will keep us up to date for sure. Well, we're not Elden Ring people necessarily, Randy, but we are It Takes Two people.
Yes, we are. We both we play that together and loved it
on stream. That's right, and we're still friends. That and it was a blast. That game is so fantastic. I'm a complete believer, in those guys now. And I don't remember this guy's name. Do you remember his name?
Joseph
Okay.
Fares.
He is a freaking legend. He is a beacon of crass positivity, and I am here for it. And he gave a hell of a speech and then talked about this new game.
Yeah, the new game was or is called Split Fiction. This game did leak, and the name of the game leaked before, but we hadn't seen it yet. We just heard about it,
Yeah.
and I basically the kind of
Premise.
idea of it, the premise. That's the thing I was looking for. I was trying to say rub down, but that's not right.
Yeah, man.
Here's the rub down.
Give me the rub down. I'll be over in a second.
Yeah. But basically what it is that it's two characters, I guess you'd say like authors. They write books or something, stories.
Yeah.
One of them writes sci-fi, one of them writes what was it?
Fantasy.
Like fantasy. And they have to like somehow they are in their stories and they're having to like escape from their stories, and they have these two things. That's the split fiction kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like an animus kind of situation to me. Like they went to
Seem that way, yeah.
they went somewhere to like get their like ideas to be like immersed in them, some way in like some super intense VR or something. And then they got like in the same bubble and now they're just in each other's together.
I have to go back and rewatch the trailer to see if I can gain any information that I didn't get from the initial watch. But yeah, something like that. But what's really cool is that much like It Takes Two, Joseph Fares said that in Split Fiction, there will be different, unique gameplay for every level, which is just like amazing. That's what made It Takes Two so much fun, was the
Yes.
variety and the quality of the different gameplay modes.
Yeah, if it's anything like It Takes Two, I mean, I remember something I said when we played through it is each of those levels had such a fun gameplay, premise that, or a new mechanic or whatever, that you could have based the whole game off that and like just embellished that one idea and probably come up with a really fun game. But you never even use them again. You like play one level and by the end you fall in love with the way it plays, and then it's over. And then you go to the next one and you do the same thing over and over till the game ends. It was amazing, So if this is like that, sign me up. And I'm ready. My body's ready for whole ass dragons.
Whole ass dragons. What is? Oh, that's right. Because in the trailer, I was like, "What is that?" So in the trailer, they talked about how you have like companion dragons, and they start off little bitty, and then as the game goes, they grow up and they grow into whole ass dragons. That's right. I
That's
forgot
exactly
about
how he described them.
that. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get in towards the end of the announcements here. Obviously, we're skipping over a lot of stuff. There are a lot of things that we aren't talking about, but towards the end, something that Jeff Keighley was obviously very, very excited to announce and have revealed at the Game Awards was that Hideki Kamiya's new studio, Clovers, is working with Capcom again and creating a sequel to Okami, which is, I think, pretty insane because I don't think anyone thought this would ever happen.
Yeah. So I know neither one of us have played Okami. So I got to admit, now I know it's a big deal and I know people adore it. And
Yes.
so I understand that's why this was a big deal. But it did kind of throw me for a loop because, he made Jeff, I felt like Jeff was about to tear up. He
was so excited to be revealing this.
He was so excited. They even had the orchestra, they had something prepared like for the beginning of the reveal.
Yeah.
And so when it became an Okami sequel, now I've always thought Okami looked cool, and I have always wanted to play it. And I've
it's
made
been
a
on my
point
backlog
to,
list forever. Yeah.
but it's not what I was expecting. So I didn't just like freak out, but but I understand why this would be so big for somebody who's been attached to that game and thought the idea of a sequel was never ever going to happen.
Right. And I think a lot of that has to do with the history of Hideki Kamiya. And, Hideki Kamiya went on to work and do, what's the developer? Platinum Games. And so Hideki Kamiya left Platinum Games not too long ago, and no one really knew what was going to happen there. And apparently going to work with Capcom again to create this Okami sequel. So I think there's just, the kind of the history of something that people thought just literally would not happen because Capcom owns the IP and it's probably just not going to churn out the same way, but it just happens to happen. It's just kind of cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It is really cool. I mean, I don't know when it'll happen. You know, I don't know when it'll come out. They didn't give a date.
Apparently they just started working on it.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't even have they don't even know what they're going to call it. They just said Okami sequel. You know, so it's obviously in its infancy. But you know, I'm down for that. And I was just sitting here thinking, you know, where do I have Okami? Because I know I have it at least in a ROM library.
Yeah, you got it somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. Okami was it's been on a lot of things. It's cross-platform and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's places. Let's move on. This is one that I'm probably the biggest announcement. Well, actually I think Witcher 4 probably was my biggest announcement, but maybe tied with it or just right underneath it is Naughty Dog.
Whoa, no, that's not what we were talking about. No, you told me that your favorite announcement, and you didn't say all this other stuff about Witcher, was just, it wasn't really a transcendent announcement. You just said it was seeing God on stage again. You know?
Seeing God. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about. What do you mean? Who am I talking about?
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Kojima, bro. Just the idea of seeing Kojima, you told me, was what you were most excited about.
You're lying right now.
Well, why are you lying? Why are you on here trying to say that you've got Naughty Dog's next game highlighted on a Google Doc? Why are you trying to say that?
Okay, I'm gonna move on because this bit I don't like. I don't like this bit at all. So Naughty Dog announced their new IP, Intergalactic. It's a space game. It was kind of hard to tell exactly what was going on. Obviously, the animations were really high quality, and it looked cool. It kind of seemed like Bounty Hunter. I don't really know what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know or care. I'm so in for this. I was joking about Kojima, and none of us gave a crap. This is where it's at. It reminded me, it had a Guardians of the Galaxy feel. I can't help but say that when you have somebody in space and it's a little tongue-in-cheek and there's music. Like, I just cannot get out of that.
Yeah.
But I love space. If it's done right, I love, sci-fi. So I'm totally excited about this.
No, it looks so good quality-wise. We did get to see a little glimpse of what I assume is to be gameplay.
Yeah.
It was combat.
Yeah.
It was very action
it looked
combat.
Cool.
It did not look like other Naughty Dog combat at all.
I thought it was in a really good way, because I mean, we've done it before, we've had Naughty Dog combat before. So like to see them try their hand at something that might be just a little more, I don't know, intense or at least flashy. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah.
But different.
Yeah, it definitely looked different than what we expect from Naughty Dog. And I think that is what's cool about it, is that it's very refreshing. Naughty Dog, obviously, with The Last of Us, especially with The Last of Us, it's very dark. It's very almost depressing.
Almost.
Yeah. Well, very depressing for some people. I know you're still recovering.
It affected me.
But this was much more lighthearted. And I think that is a cool change of pace to see from Naughty Dog because, I don't know, I think that a lot of people don't love those like grim, dark, depressing, like make you think things game. Maybe we can have a game where we just get to have a little fun.
Right. Well, there's a reason that I've seen How I Met Your Mother, multiple times, and you're on your rewatch of Letterkenny, and you've seen New Girl about 8 times, but you've never finished Breaking Bad, and I'm a huge fan, but I've never thrown it a full rewatch. You just can't take the heavy stuff all the time, and there's a whole lot of heavy stuff these days. So I'm down with Naughty Dog lightening the tone a little bit, because they can obviously tell a great story. So let's try something a little silly. I don't know, a little lighthearted.
Yeah, I'm totally down. I don't know, like part of me like worries that we're not going to get the same quality of story because it being a little more lighthearted, but that's not always true. Like,
Yeah.
I think, keeping the theme with the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing, the Guardians of the Galaxy game was obviously very lighthearted, but I thought it had a really cool, heartfelt story that went along with it too. So it can definitely be done. It doesn't just have to be all serious all the time like The Last of Us is.
Right. Have you ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Randy? Did you ever
No, I've
finish,
not
or
seen
did
it.
you ever finish the trilogy? Um, well, there's some gags in there, Randy, but that is a serious like tearjerker movie at times. So they Naughty Dog could do that shit too. Is what I'm saying. It could. All it takes to tell a really good story with a lighthearted tone is to know when to occasionally turn it on. Like it's like Pixar. I mean, they could be great.
Well, I'm super excited that Naughty Dog is going to do a new IP and we're not just getting The Last of Us because people have been saying that Naughty Dog have become like a Last of Us studio and they've been making just The Last of Us for quite a while now. The last thing we saw that wasn't The Last of Us was Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and that was a number of years ago. So it's good to see them do something that isn't just The Last of Us.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And a studio like Naughty Dog, I think they could do great with a new IP. So, and I agree. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't take Last of Us Part 3 and be just like happy as crap. But I would also have to put some of that energy towards being mad at all the people talking shit. So, it's kind of nice to maybe not have to worry about that.
Well, I mean, I hate to burst your bubble, but you know how you can check likes and dislikes on YouTube videos, like even though they're gone?
Yeah.
People have been doing it with the trailer for Intergalactic, and it has more dislikes than likes.
Well, okay. So that does irritate me, but the reason I, get so mad when people talk crap about The Last of Us is because I'm so connected to it and I've played it and I know how quality it is.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I feel like I can counter all the arguments against it in a way that makes sense to me, which I understand is how a debate would work. But this one, I mean, I don't know that this is good yet. I'm just excited to give it a try. So I'm not as upset, except for the fact that I feel like people are just doing that because they got mad about The Last of Us. Like, what could they have against this? Like, what?
Well,
We don't even know anything.
they have problems with the fact that it is a female protagonist. That is a common thing that people like to get upset at for some reason. And there's that. Other than that, I haven't really looked into why people are upset about it because I don't really care. And I think that it's kind of stupid, It always is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's stupid.
It is a little stupid. Well, you know what's not stupid, and we can move into it, is we want to talk about a couple of the winners, the games that won. Look, there were a bunch of them, bunch of awards given out. We're only going to talk about two specific ones.
Yeah.
They're the ones that mean the most to us, and those are Best Indie Game and then obviously Game of the Year. So let's start with Best Independent Game.
Okay, so best indie game was Balatro. And it also got the award for best indie game. Not only did it get the award for best indie game, but it got the award for best debut indie game. And because it happens to be playable on your cell phone, it got best mobile game as well. Balatro is an extremely special game, and I was really glad that it won all of those. I mean, I felt like it deserved to win every award it was in personally, but it's just so good, And in a year where indies were great, this was the best one.
Yeah, and it definitely like got a lot of wins. Like you said, it won Best Indie, won Best Debut Indie, it won Best Mobile Game. The only game that I felt like I wanted to see win was Animal Well, and I haven't played Balatro, so I know that like I haven't seen the light, and I know that, but I loved Animal Well, so I would have loved to see Animal Well win anything, and it didn't win anything, which
Yeah.
is sad to me.
Well, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I agree. It is sad that Animal Well didn't win anything. The problem is
Yeah.
it came about in the same year as something incredibly special.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't know. Did Breath of the Wild win Game of the Year?
Breath of the Wild won Game of the Year,
So
yes.
whatever game was in a category with Breath of the Wild for Game of the Year that was also a fantastic game.
Yeah.
That's what this is, because Breath of the Wild is super special, Balatro is super special, and it's literally crack in a game. I just don't see how you could beat it. Like I remember when I played Balatro and then I played Animal Well. At the time, I was like, man, I don't know what I think is going to be best indie. I feel like it's going to be one of these two, but I don't know which one. And then Balatro came out again on mobile, and I played it again,
Yeah.
and I was like, it's got to be Balatro.
And I think everyone pretty much agrees with you who's played it. I think the people who know, and I just don't know. You know what I mean?
Now, I've never played this Lorelei or Lorelee or whatever.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, yeah.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, yeah. Never played that one. And I've never played Neva. Never
Neva.
ever played
And then
Neva.
UFO 50 also got nominated. And I liked UFO 50, but it wasn't it's a sort of like collection of smaller old like 8-bit to 16-bit style games, and they were really cool, and I think that game was really, really neat. But I got about halfway through playing all the games, and then I just couldn't do them anymore. I got distracted by something else. So maybe I'll go back to it and play it more one day. But I think that it really came down to Animal Well and Balatro, and obviously Balatro is probably the more deserving game. I'll admit, even as someone who hasn't played it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is, man. Game recognizes game.
That's right. Game recognizes game. Well, speaking of recognizing games, we'll talk a little bit about which games won the most awards at the Game Awards, and then we'll work in reverse order, and that way we'll save the last one for the Game of the Year, because the game that won the most awards also won Game of the Year, which is pretty cool. So,
Yes.
Hellblade 2 got 2 nominations. That tells you the most decorated games, if winning 2 gets you there. Hellblade 2 won for best performance, and then I think it also won for maybe like best direction or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it won.
Yeah, it was something like Best Direction. Yeah. It was an early
maybe
one.
no,
It was one of those early ones.
Or maybe best story or something like that. Whatever the like best narrative.
Best narrative might have been best narrative, yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah. Well, Helldivers 2 also got 2 wins and 4 nominations. And I was glad that Helldivers got stuff. I didn't want it to get snubbed. I felt like it was really awesome. And if you'd asked me earlier in the year, I would have thought it would have been up for Game of the Year.
Yeah, it was just one of those like years that there was a lot of great games that came out this year, but also Helldivers 2 came out early in the year. And then also I feel like Helldivers 2 was really hyped when it first came out, but then it kind of got some flack later on for a number of things. One, how the continued aspect of, continuing the game as a live service game, kind of how that was handled. A lot of people didn't love that, even though it won that category, which is interesting.
Wait, what do people not like about the way they're doing live service?
Not the live service aspects. I'm sorry. The way some of the balance, like new mechanics and stuff as they introduce them. Not everyone loved that aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah. It always gets shit for that. Literally,
Yeah.
every time they do a balance patch, they get crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But then also, of course, there was the big deal with when it went to PC, having to have the PlayStation Network requirement, and it just it got totally review bombed
Yeah.
just because of that. And that's really, like you've said in the past, it's not even its fault, but still, it was like the poster child for that.
I know, and I hate that. It's not their fault at all. They basically said as much, and I don't think they're lying. Like, I think that decision was made from way above their heads.
Yeah.
And I really don't like that, because it's tainted it for me, and I didn't even get mad. At the time, I was cool about it. And I still that's what I think about when I think of Helldivers, and I don't like that, because I think it's really, really good. I want to play it again. Now they're introducing the Illuminate.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, Helldivers was always fun. It was always
really
a little.
fun.
It was never my thing, because I never really understood why I was doing the things I was doing, from a narrative point of view. Because you have to be plugged in in places other than the game to get all the narrative and like to understand
Yes.
it. And that's just a little, that's one extra step that I'm not willing to make.
Yeah. But it was never Helldiver's strength was never its narrative, Randy.
No, I know.
I
But I was
mean,
always like, why are we doing this?
I know.
What's going on?
You were always like, I don't know why we're going to this place. I'm just following Daniel. And I'm like, well, man, it's because you don't know what direction to run. That's why you're following me. Like, you know? And then you had to know how to like interact with, you know, all the little objective points and stuff. But it is what it is. You ready to move on to another highly decorated game? So winning 2 awards on five total nominations was Black Myth Wukong, a game that neither one of us played, but we have since been told is very easy.
Yeah, they told us it was very easy. They're like, look, guys, it's not a hard game. Try it. It's like the easiest game ever. That's so weird that they did that. So essentially at the Game Awards, when they, during an announcement speech for one of the awards that Black Myth Wukong won, the dude basically was like, the game's easy, y'all. I don't know why he did that.
At the time, it almost felt like he was taking a dig at Elden Ring, but I don't think he was. I think he was just saying, I know it looks soulsy, but you can play this. Like, don't be chicken. You know, I just wonder, and it was also being translated, and I'm wondering if something was lost in translation, not maybe literally, but tonally. You know, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I mean, it just came off so weird and random that I feel like it can't be that weird and random.
Yeah, agreed. Well, let's see here. Balatro won 3 wins, as we've mentioned, but
Yep.
moving on from that, Metaphor Refantasio won 3 wins,
Yep.
and that means that the only game left, the game that won 4 out of its 7 nominations, was the game that also won Game of the Year, and this was the feel-good story of the night because it was Astro Bot.
Yeah, it was Astro Bot, and that is so cool. For one, we are not sitting here complaining that they gave Game of the Year to a DLC. And that makes me really happy. And then on top of that, they're giving it to a game that was so fun and so good, and we both loved it. And Astro's so damn cute, and we got that great speech from Mr. Larian. It was feel good AF. And hearing the music with the orchestra with the little Astro Bot was so freaking awesome.
It really was so cool. Also, the acceptance speech from the Team Asobi guy was really cool. He obviously gave a lot of credit to all the different developers that put work into Astro Bot, but he also, crazily enough, gave props to Nintendo, which I did not expect. I don't think anybody. Hell, he didn't say it by name. You're right. He was like, you notice I didn't say their name.
Why did he do that?
I don't know that. I think maybe he knows that he works for Mr. Sony, and I don't think they would like.
What it is. Okay,
yeah,
that makes perfect sense. For some reason, I always think about the Nintendo ninjas, and I was like, why would he be scared of the Nintendo ninjas in this moment? You're right. It's a Sony thing. Yep.
It's because
I feel dumb now.
He knows that his daddy is Mr. PlayStation,
Right.
And but at the same time, he's like, look, I want to give credit to the games that inspired Astro Bot, and he mentioned Super Mario Bros. By name, but he said,
did.
But then he just basically alluded like, hey, Nintendo games are what inspired the creation of Astro Bot, and I thought that was really cool. And I've just loved so much about Astro Bot. I love so much about the way they went about building the game. Apparently, while they were developing it, they had just a free, open, like anybody developing the game could pitch ideas for little aspects of that could go into the game, and then they would just put it in and try it and see if it worked. No matter how small, no matter who you were on the team, they just let you try. And if it worked, it made it into the game. And there was a really fast development process to just try it out, see if it works, put it in the game, cool, move on. And that to me is just like a great example of a game being made for the love of video games, not because of who can come up with the best ideas of ways to monetize little aspects of our game. And that is why Astro Bot means so much to the player, and it comes across as like a passion game, not a game made just to make money.
Yes. Well, I mean, he's was it him? No, it wasn't. It was It Takes Two guys saying like you just buy the game and you get the game, you know. But But that just goes to show you, it happened multiple times. Like
Yeah.
it feels like a shift. And to go back to Astro Bot, that speech was great. I didn't expect him to name Super Mario Bros. By name. That was really cool.
Yeah. But I mean, it's obvious that Nintendo is inspired. If you like Nintendo games and you haven't played Astro Bot, if you have a PS5, obviously, you need to play it because it is a Nintendo game without being a Nintendo game. It
Yep.
is a Mario game, but it's just not Mario.
Yep. It's a Mario game on PS5.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. In fact, I say, like, the thing about Astro Bot is it's just as good, if not better, than all those Mario games. Like, it's just as good, and you could even prefer it more. And in some ways, I think I might. Like, it may be the best 3D platformer I've ever played. It's just that good.
Oof. You trying to say
I mean, you get
better
I mean,
than
like,
something like Odyssey? You think it's better than Odyssey?
I think, yeah, I think in a lot of ways it might be better than Odyssey.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be tied. Like they may be like on the same level, but that's what I'm getting at. Like it comes down to preference at that point. Like
It does. Yeah.
it's that good. It is that good. It is not an inferior product to something like Odyssey.
No,
It
it's
just
not.
isn't.
It's not inferior. You're right. It's on the same shelf at least. It's
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just as polished. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
So good.
It's just hard for me to think about something like that, man. Odyssey's so damn good, but so is Astro. It's just as good.
It really is. And I think that's why
it's cuter. I think it might even be cuter if I'm being honest.
oh, it's super cute. I mean, Mario you can only think Mario is so cute, you know?
Yeah, but you do have things like Toad and the Goomba. Mario can be cute, man, but Astro is just totes adorbs. He's bussin'.
That he is. That he is.
And he's got, big mascot energy, as we've discussed before.
He's big. He's got big mascot energy, and so does Astro. Astro's got big mascot energy.
I was talking about Astro.
Oh, I thought you were talking Mario.
No, I was trying to talk about Astro.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking Mario. I was like, yeah, Mario's got big mascot energy for sure.
Maybe I was. Yeah, that just sounded like I'm shilling for the biggest mascot in gaming right there. No, I was trying to say that Astro also had it.
Okay, maybe I just got confused. I
Well-
got confused by your words. You know.
Yeah, well, maybe I didn't say it good. I don't know. I tried.
maybe my word's bad. Well, I do think that you're right in that the theme, like, it came back up over and over and over. This idea of games need to change. The types of games that people want to play are games that are built to be games that are just fun, that aren't there to milk you of your money.
Yeah.
And Astro Bot's a great example of it. But like you said, it came up with the It Takes Two guy speech. It came up with the Larian speech. It came up multiple times. Even Jeff just directly addressing the problem industry with all the layoffs. Like, it's because the developers are going into games looking them as cash cows instead of works of art. And we have to get back to that point of video games being works of art. And when we're there, I think the gaming industry will recover from this kind of dark period we've gone down, or this dark path we've gone down.
Well, I hope so. I mean, it really felt really positive last night. So, and I know that the Game Awards are just, on one hand, they are a little bit of a popularity contest, and maybe, I don't know, there's a possibility that they just decided to send a different message with their popularity contest. But I don't care. I ain't trying to criticize them for doing a good thing. So, I guess I'm just saying, like, they're not the end all be all. They don't control the industry, but
No.
It is a big event. So maybe it is indicative of a little bit of a shift.
I hope so. I know that, like, the Game Awards, like you said, they obviously don't control the industry, but a lot of industry insiders are involved with the Game Awards. But I do think it's disconnected enough to be able to be in the position to be able to make these kinds of messages to the general gaming industry. Be like, hey, look, this is what we all are thinking right now, and they put it on the biggest stage possible. And I'm really glad they did that this year. And I think Jeff did a really good job with the Game Awards. I think from this point on, keep the same messaging, keep the same pacing, theming. The only thing that needs to change, I guess it's in regards to pacing, is shorten it down a little bit. And I think the Game Awards will be something that more and more people will really look forward to.
Yep. Also, while we're making changes, they could probably bring back Bill Clinton kid.
Yeah, we missed him this year.
Yeah, but at the same time, no, just bring him back.